From Buffalo Wild Wings in Grand Forks, welcome to Benchwarmers. Today's featured guests are offensive coordinator for UND football, Paul Rudolph. Midco SN's play-by-play voice for UND athletics, Alex Heinert. UND football defensive coordinator, Eric Schmidt. And our host, Midco Sports Network's Tom Nieman.
Hello, welcome to Benchwarmers. We are at Buffalo Wild Wings in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and it is almost football season, people. We're about ready to get it going, and in fact, University of North Dakota head coach Bubba Schweigert is in Utah as we speak as part of a Big Sky kickoff media days, but we've got the guy that runs the offense, the guy that runs the defense for UND, Alex Heinert, the new Midco Sports Network host for University of North Dakota Sports going into the 2016 fall season. So welcome him if you see him around town. And fellas, let's talk a little bit about practice starts literally 2 weeks from when we're sitting here today. And summers are short in the Dakotas. You hate to wish away a couple of weeks, but are you guys ready to get practice started or what?
Oh, there's no doubt that we're ready to get practice started. I'd much rather be on the practice field than doing anything in the office.
What like Eric said, you're just kind of worried right now about what you're missing or what?
Yeah. It's time. I think our guys are ready to put the helmet and the shoulder pads on. There's only so much you can talk about and things like that in the summer, so I think everybody's kind of getting the bug a little bit to get out and get going.
All right, recruiting is done mostly for the summer right now, the July period, so everybody's kind of back in the fold except for Bubba who's out there, but everybody's kind of back in and ready to get going, right?
Yep, no doubt.
All right. Alex Heinert, as we mentioned, will take over for Midco Sports Network here at UND. He is from Boston. He's a Patriots fan, Tom Brady fan. And just before we get to UND football stuff, a quick thought on the suspension for Tom Brady for his role, whatever it was, in deflating footballs. Is this the silliest scandal you've ever heard of in professional sports, or is this a warranted suspension for Tom Brady?
I mean, I would say so, but obviously I'm biased, as we've already talked about. But the thing is that there's no actual evidence that he did anything.
Exactly.
And so I think the statement that was made in the Wells report was Tom more likely than not had some sort, and the Patriot organization had some sort of influence over changing the PSI in these footballs, but there's just so much weird science and things that no one really knows what happened in a bathroom for a minute and a half with some guy who may or may not have been nicknamed the deflator on the football team. I just don't think it just seems like a lot to suspend a guy 4 games and fine the team $1 million.
It's just silly, or what?
That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, we played Jimmy Garoppolo 3 times when we were down in Southern Illinois, so it'll be interesting maybe if Patriots start off 4-0. It's kind of how Brady got his start when Bledsoe got hurt, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think it's a lot to do about nothing right now. I think most people would just like to see it go away and move on. So it'll be interesting to see how their year starts without him.
Paul, you work with the quarterbacks. Is there anything to this on a cold day, if there's a little less air in the football, that it's better for the quarterback? Can you at least give him that?
Well, you get a better feel for the ball, obviously, no doubt about that. But I've always found it tougher to throw a little bit of a ball that's sometimes you squeeze it too fast, too much, and it almost comes out like a changeup, depending on. But I still wonder where the referees were. I mean, they handled that ball every play. Took them until took somebody from the other team to say, hey, this ball's too light or too, I don't know. There just seems something pretty WWF about it to me.
Yeah, it is very bizarre, and it speaks a little bit to the power of how big football has gotten in this country that is even a story. But anyway, Twommy is going to sit out for 4 games. And anyway, UND, speaking of scandals, 7 wins last year for the UND football team, did not make the FCS playoffs. Did you guys do enough in your minds with that 7-4 record to get into the FCS 2014 field, or what happened at the end of the season last year?
Well, I mean, obviously the people that sat on the committee didn't think our work was good enough. I mean, we obviously, some of that is very subjective. I guess when you compare us to some of the teams that we got in, we certainly thought we should have had a chance to play somebody else as opposed to maybe 1 or 2 teams, but at the end of the day, we had chances to win a couple other games or be successful in a couple other games, and didn't do what we needed to do to finish the game. So, you can look at it both ways.
Yeah, I think lesson learned. We had an opportunity to be able to to win some games we really thought that we were in control of and weren't able to close them. So I think, if there is a blessing as far as moving forward, our guys now understand that, hey, there's no guarantees, man. You want to get in, you got to win your league. That's the one way to, have an opportunity to be able to get in, and that's kind of the approach we've taken moving forward.
You see that motto of leave no doubt has kind of been the mantra, at least in this summer, moving on to the season for the program, and that's it. It's trying to take care of their own business and not leave it up to a committee to let a 6-5 Western Illinois team sneak in ahead. It's easier said than done, but you can tell that motivation is going to be there this season.
All right, some of the good things for UND football last year, the offense, Division I, best rushing totals in the last 4 years for UND. John Santiago, just tell us a little bit about this kid as a true freshman, led the Big Sky in rushing last year.
Well, he's about everything as far as coaching a young man, he's about everything you want him to be, because he's tough and he listens. He wants to be as good as he possibly can be. And, we kind of stumbled on him by chance there. I was telling you that story earlier, but
you thought he was going to be a wide receiver.
We were going to play him a little bit more at slot receiver, play him in the interior, let him operate inside, and we knew that we were going to teach him some running back stuff, but really we thought his big thing was going to be out on the edge. And a couple of injuries one day in fall camp, like day 3 or day 4, and we said, John, you got to get us through some days. And about one day into it, we was pretty much like, hey, you guys better get back because you ain't going to beat him out. So yeah,
bottom line, it's a brilliant move.
Brilliant move, no question about it.
At running back, and he leads the Big Sky in rushing as a true freshman. Defensively, Eric, for the second year in a row, UND leads the Big Sky in rushing yards allowed, 100 yards per game allowed. This is the conference that's known for teams going out and outscoring people. You guys are kind of trying to put a dent in that, right?
Yeah, I think that's still our philosophy is, we want to be really good on first down and make teams one-dimensional. Now, you get them to that point, you obviously still got to be able to get off the field and hold down points, but it's still where it starts. I think with football teams, anytime you want to be a championship football team and you want to be built for later on in November and December and that kind of stuff, you got to be able to run the football and stop the run. And I think, Paul and myself, we understand that. I think our offense and defense works together really, really well to be able to set each other up, and we know we're going to be in a lot of close games in the fourth quarter the way we play, and then it's just a matter of being able to, to be able to play really well in those situations.
And you lost a linebacker to graduation that's getting a shot in the NFL, but 9 starters back defensively, is that right?
Yeah. So we'll have some. We played a lot of young guys here our first couple of years, and now those guys have been through the league a couple of years. Will, you were talking about, was obviously the leader of our defense. He was all that in spades for kind of what we were looking for in a linebacker. So there'll be some some adjustments there, some guys that will need to be able to take those reps and that production. But ultimately, we think that playing team defense is the best way that you can win championships and win games. And obviously having those numbers back, there'll be some expectations on defense this fall.
Yeah, expectations across the board. I mean, you guys popping up in a lot of preseason top 20 polls, and it's going to be another good season. And when we come back, we'll take a little deeper look at the Big Sky. UND finished 4th in the conference last year. Can they improve on that? And what else is going on in the Big Sky in football when we come back?
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers here in Grand Forks, North Dakota, talking UND football. And fellas, the Fighting Hawks, 4th in the Big Sky last year. Southern Utah won the Big Sky Conference. Portland State, a team that you guys beat last year. And then Montana, which had a good year last year. Those 3. And then UND last year. What about this in 2016? How do you see it coming out in the Big Sky?
Well, I think the parity in our league, once again, is going to be probably even more than it was a year ago. Some of the traditional teams that have been powers in our league have new coaching staffs and things like that. And then with, like you talked about, the emergence of Portland State, Southern Utah, Northern Arizona was a really good team as well. It's from the top down going to be a battle. I think you get all the preseason rankings and all that kind of stuff, but it still comes down to when guys get on the field and get sore and how they respond and things like that are really determine what happens in our league. So it's we went through it as a defensive staff here in the summer, and it's going to be a battle week in and week out.
Coaches say they don't pay attention to that stuff. You guys pay attention to the preseason polls and any of that kind of stuff?
I don't, to be honest with you. I'm not much of I don't watch much of it at all. We can only control what we can do. It's pretty much what I try to lock into.
Montana should be good.
Defensively, they lost a handful of guys, and they have a new defensive coordinator. I can't speak for them completely offensively, but
I think Montana's going to be solid. They're always going to be able to be a really talented team. They present some challenges. I think one of their best players coming back is their quarterback. He was injured last year, so he's going to be a top level quarterback for us, maybe in the country. So they'll present a challenge. The good part about that is we don't play Montana in our regular season this year, so that makes it a little bit different for us. So
you guys do get some pretty tasty home games, though, with some of the highest scoring teams in the league. Southern Utah, Northern Arizona, Weber State, all those teams coming here to Grand Forks to play home games for you guys. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I think
the defensive challenge.
Yeah, and one thing about playing those teams at home that you love about it is playing indoors and having a home field advantage. Bubba's done a good job of promoting it, but we want to get our place to be really, really special at home. And I think, especially from a defensive point of view, those people in the stands can make a difference in a game. So it'll be fun to bring some of those offenses into town and see how we match up against them.
There was a kid that played at Montana State last year, quarterback named Dakota, graduated and is now at the University of Oregon. Vernon Adams Jr. did this, went from Eastern Washington to Oregon a couple of years ago. Prukup, is he that good? Can he play at Oregon?
He's pretty good. When we played him last year, we thought he was, a talented kid. So it's, as far as the rule goes and things like that, I don't know if it was what it was intended to do. These guys basically, we become a farm league a little bit for the University of Oregon. The last couple of years, but I'm sure he'll have an opportunity. You know what I mean? I think everybody watched their bowl game last year and looked too good when Vernon Adams got hurt. So he'll definitely have an opportunity to be able to play there. He's that talented.
He put up crazy numbers. I mean, they had the best offense in the league by a lot of metrics, and it was mainly because of him. So if he can carry that over with that Duck system, could be a kid to watch.
Had crazy numbers for another wide receiver in the Big Sky, Cooper Kupp at Eastern Washington. You guys played him a couple years ago. He had 9 catches in that game, but he is going to break a lot of not just Big Sky, but FCS records. Maybe an NFL kind of guy, and this kid from Eastern Washington?
He's pretty special. Yeah. The little bit I've watched him, Coach Schmidt would know more, but when I've watched him on Scout Exchange or Tape Exchange, he's tough to handle.
You were talking before about you got to have some pretty good corners that can defend against the passing game in this conference.
Yeah, he's the total package. I think we have a lot of respect for him. Just his demeanor, the way he goes about it, he just shows up week in and week out. And I think from a toughness factor, if you can talk about a wide receiver being really, really tough, I think that's really what sets him apart, man. He blocks. You watch him play in and play out. He's digging out linebackers and things like that. So it's the complete package. He does a heck of a job for their football team.
All right, the Big Sky home schedule for UND is going to be very good this year. It does include the University of South Dakota in the third game of the year this year on September 17th. That's going to be an old North Central Conference matchup. And when we come back, could there ever be a chance that the University of North Dakota's football team would play in the Missouri Valley with South Dakota and South Dakota State and North Dakota State? I can only hope. I would love to see it happen. We'll see what these guys think about that when we come back.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers in Grand Forks, North Dakota, here at Buffalo Wild Wings, talking UND football. And UND has been in the Big Sky Conference since 2012, and at that time, really had to make a move and go to the Big Sky. There was no other opening in this region, so I mean that you can't be without a conference in football. Eric, you were talking about this, and at the time in 2012, that was really the only place to go, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a no-brainer at that time as far as, football was important to our university, and the Big Sky is one of the, top-level football programs in the country. So to be able to do that, I think, was a no-brainer for the university at that time.
All right, not saying, but just saying, if there would ever be an opening in the Missouri Valley, which includes North Dakota State, South Dakota State, the University of South Dakota, if that would ever happen in next year or 5 years from now, should or would North Dakota in football join the Missouri Valley, kind of come back to the old NCC days? You guys are both familiar with that. I love the old NCC with all those teams in there. if there was ever an opening in the Missouri Valley, would that be a good move for UND's football program?
Well, I with prefacing that by, first of all, in the couple years that we've been in the Big Sky since we've been here, I've certainly enjoyed every trip we've taken. It's a great place. You get treated well, and they're fun places to play. But from a logistical and a monetary standpoint, there's probably some certain benefits of being down I-29. There's like as you said, the old North Central days. There's a lot of positives towards that. But without saying anything else, I said I certainly enjoy playing in the Big Sky, and it's a great place to play. It's good football. It's a good league, and we get treated real well. I enjoy going to those places.
And kids that you guys recruit, a lot of kids from Minnesota, but all over the country, maybe they like it when you say, we're going to go play all these teams out on the West Coast and in the western part of the United States. That can work both ways, can it, in recruiting?
No question. I think, going to Sacramento, California, Portland, Oregon, Spokane, Washington, those are places kids, from this neck of the woods, this region, really don't get an opportunity to be able to go to. So I think it helps us, as far as that goes. And, guys get to see different parts of the world and parts of the country, I guess I should say. And then a lot of those places are big cities where you're able to go in and play in some great venues. And there's really not a bad stadium, a bad setup in the league as far as football goes.
And maybe it's more of a yearning for fans and media guys like me and you've got good memories of the old NCC. I know that with the national championship in 2001. So there is that kind of maybe it's more romantic than I'm making it out to be, and UND is where they're supposed to be. But what do you think?
I think you can frame that either way, though. I think you can make a great case to stick around because of what you guys have talked about, and at the same time, going back to those old traditional rivalries, there's a lot of nostalgia that's involved with that, and people not very long ago remember those great rivalries with NDSU and USD and South Dakota State. And the logistics are that the Missouri Valley is a better conference. They got 6 teams in the playoffs last year to 3 from the Big Sky, top to bottom, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's a better spot for the University of North Dakota. I think they're in really good shape either way. I think they're set up for success either in the Big Sky or in the Valley, but it's certainly fun to talk about.
Yeah, and we're just talking about it, so we'll see. We do have a poll question coming up in a couple of minutes here, and it does, we had almost 90 votes, and it does lean heavily towards they would like to see UND in the Missouri Valley someday to play college football, but we will see. Take a look at that poll question coming up a little later. When we come back, though, our Winging It question from the lunchtime crowd here at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back. Time for our Winging It question of the week with the lunchtime crowd here at Buffalo Wild Wings. And for that, we go to Carla Metz. Carla?
Thanks, Tom. I'm here with Jenna Jacobs, who's a senior here at UND, and she has a question regarding the conference that UND hockey plays in.
My question is, should the NCHC expand?
All right, let's see what the panel thinks.
All right, Jenna wants to know, Alex, the University of North Dakota plays hockey in the NCHC, and there's been rumblings in the last week or so about maybe expanding the conference for college hockey. Catch us up to speed on this.
Well, it's an interesting conversation because you've got this formation of 8 schools, which has been around for the last 3 years, has been very successful in the NCHC. Again, they got 75% of their teams into the national tournament, a 16-team field just 2 seasons ago. And now you've got some other teams that want in. Minnesota State Mankato officially applied for admission to the conference the other day out of the old WCHA. Bowling Green or Arizona State or some other schools that have kind of been in the conversation of maybe wanting to make an affiliation adjustment. Or Arizona State obviously not affiliated with any conference right now. It's a tough call for the conference because you've got a great thing going right now. You've got a pretty decently regional footprint. And they have some tough decisions to make, whether or not they want to expand that product and maybe dilute it a little bit. Minnesota State Mankato is a good hockey team. I mean, they've made it to the national tournament 2 of the last 3 years. It's a traditional rival, obviously fits very well in between all the St. Cloud State and Duluth, and UND would love to see another school probably from that region join the conference. But these are the questions that they're going to have to decide over the next couple of years of what's best for the member schools and what's best for the conference.
All right. And speaking on that same subject, UND in football in the Big Sky, they're talking about adding another member, Idaho, a former Big Sky member, coming back from the FBS ranks and going to join, we think, in 2018. And there's thoughts of maybe splitting which would be a 14-team conference then into divisions, things like that. That's being discussed as well, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be a big topic of discussion out at their the Big Sky kickoff here these next couple of days. So whether you go east-west or north-south, I think that'll be obviously probably the main key. And then, you play 9 games. How many crossover games do you play with having that many teams in your division, or in your league? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of what plan they work out there.
All right, 8 conference games played right now out of a traditionally 11-game schedule most years, but you wouldn't mind seeing a 9th conference game?
I would prefer, the little bit I saw, but I would prefer we played 9 conference games, and the model I saw, that you would at least see everybody in your 4-year career than you'd see everybody in the big sky, if you will, as opposed to playing an 8-game schedule. You might not see somebody in your career. I just don't think that's right. I don't think that's the way a conference should be.
All right.
New commissioner is going to be interesting. Andrea Williams coming in from the Big Ten. We'll see what she does to shake this all up.
All right, we'll check those poll question numbers when we come back. A lot of love for the Missouri Valley Conference for UND football.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers. Our poll question this week: which conference would you like to see the University of North Dakota football and basketball programs going forward, maybe in future years? We offered up the Missouri Valley or the Big Sky and had almost 90 votes between here at Buffalo Wild Wings and on Twitter. 80% of those say Missouri Valley, if that would ever come. Does that surprise you guys at all?
No, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, geographically it makes sense, and there's a lot of people out there that remember the good old days from the North Central.
Maybe it's the fans and maybe not you guys and the players, but we'll see. Have a great season, fellas. Appreciate it very much. Alex, welcome to Grand Forks. We'll see you next week on Benchwarmers.
Thanks.